Welcome back, everybody. Sheepdog Smokey here. And if you've been following the news, you know that the judge in the Michael Flynn case has basically said that the prosecutor cannot drop charges. This is the judge who basically did everything he could to prevent General Flynn, the defendant in the case, from changing his plea, which I've never heard of a judge saying you cannot change your plea. I've never heard of a judge telling the prosecutors they cannot drop the charges. And I've also never heard of a judge calling in on their own people to speak about the case. But that's what this judge is doing. He's basically decided ahead of time there will be a conviction. There will be the punishment I set forth, and no one may stop me. This is also the judge that has ranted in court, all but declaring it over. He's called Michael Flynn a traitor, and far more. This is a judge that should be removed from the bench. But here's the thing about this. Why is this happening is more important than what is happening. You see, very powerful people are starting to get worried that the American people are going to find out and have proof shown to them that their government is working against them. Just listen to former President Barack Obama.
The news over the last 24 hours, I think, has been somewhat downplayed about the Justice Department dropping charges against Michael Flynn. And the fact that there is no precedent that anybody can find for someone who's been charged with perjury. Just getting off scot-free. That's the kind of stuff where you begin to get worried that basic, not just institutional norms, but our basic understanding of rule of law is at risk. And when you start moving in those directions, it can accelerate pretty quickly, as we've seen in other places. So I am hoping that all of you feel the same sense of urgency that I do. Whenever I've campaigned, I've always said, this is the most important election, especially, obviously, when I was on the ballot. That always feels like it's the most important election. This one, I'm not on the ballot, but I am pretty darn invested. We got to make this happen.
If that isn't the voice of a worried man, I don't know what is. Now, of course, Barack Obama's entourage of people are very upset that this leaked. They weren't upset at all when a wiretap audio was leaked of President Trump engaging in locker room talk. We've known as a country that Donald Trump is very blunt, very, very much a say whatever comes to the front of his brain kind of guy. He is not politically correct. He has never been politically correct. And until he decided to run against Hillary Clinton, no one in Hollywood or D.C. cared because he had money and they wanted it. When someone, without telling President Trump at the time, many years ago, when someone recorded him without his knowledge and then leaked that to the press during the election season of 2016, liberals were fine with someone being recorded against their will and having that leaked. But when it is Barack Obama admitting that despite proof that Flynn was entrapped, despite 39 people wanting him unmasked, Joe Biden only a week before the transition between President Obama and President Trump. Despite all of this, they're screaming and yelling that you can't do this. You can't do this. Barack Obama was not president when this was recorded. Barack Obama was not a senator, a congressman, or in any way an active government official. At this time, despite the security and everything else that goes on around him, because he spent 8 years in the White House, Barack Obama is a private citizen. The exact same role that Donald Trump was when he was recorded without his knowledge, saying nothing of consequence. But when it's Barack Obama, the world goes insane. The Michael Flynn case is very, very clear to me at this point. It has been for quite a while. You see, Michael Flynn was a part of the transition team for the Trump administration. There is nothing wrong on any level, in any way, with members of a president-elect's transition team meeting with foreign dignitaries and government officials. You're going to be part of the new administration, so you need to forge relationships. But when it was Donald Trump, all of a sudden, he was expected to sit and twiddle his thumbs until he was inaugurated, giving Barack Obama's administration all the time they wanted to poison the world against him. Now that someone has dared leak an audio conversation or audio recording of a conversation where you can hear the worry in Barack Obama's voice that someone who was entrapped might not be convicted for a crime they didn't commit, someone his administration unmasked in the waning days of his administration, if this is not the nail in the coffin for the deep state, then I don't know what will be. This proves, beyond any doubt to me, that the Obama administration was working tirelessly, 24/7, to sabotage President-elect Donald Trump. The Michael Flynn unmasking was a key to starting the Russia investigation, out of which came nothing. And those who point to Manafort, he was convicted for something that happened long before he was in any way tied to Donald Trump politically. But they point to that and crow. The Mueller report very clearly stated there was no collusion and there was no evidence of obstruction. His attempt at saying, well, that means he's not guilty, even he walked that back. This is a travesty. It honestly is. I worked as a sheriff's deputy for about a year when I thought I wanted to be law enforcement. I found out during that year I do not fit as law enforcement. Found out shortly thereafter that I fit amazing into a fire department. But during my time with the sheriff's department as a detention officer, I saw people brought into jail, and they were on trial, charged with a crime. And I saw people just released because the prosecutor dropped charges. You see, the way it works in normal situations is that the police will arrest someone and they will turn the evidence over to the district attorney. District attorney will share the evidence and the findings based on the evidence with the defense attorney. If the district attorney decides that they are not going to be able to get a conviction, they can drop the charges. For crying out loud, I posted today about a young man in Florida who was hit, knocked off his bike, horrifically injured. It was a hit and run. The police know who did it, and the police won't even press charges. So this is the quite literal opposite of the General Flynn case. They know who, they know what, they know when, they know how, and they know the person did it, and they won't bring charges. Yet when it's General Flynn, and it's a liberal Democrat judge, they will tell you, no, you cannot drop charges. You are required to charge him with a crime and convict him. I can guarantee you, if someone recorded this judge 2 years ago, getting them to say something, and then today asked him about that conversation, and he said, "No, I don't remember saying that." Then played the audio and said, "Well, you did say it." He would scream entrapment so fast that you would hear it the day the recording was made. He would have you in jail for attempted entrapment. But when it is the federal government that was in power under Obama, putting people in place to entrap members of the incoming administration to overthrow the government, because these idiots cannot accept that they lost an election. According to this judge, that's all well and good. That's just rule of law. If you are led into a lie and basically made to lie, well, too bad. This is the crap that needs to stop, because this is the stuff that destroys societies. It's very much why the original colonists left England. Their religious liberty was being trampled on. Their other rights were being trampled on because they were being detained at the pleasure of the crown. That quite literally means that you can be thrown into solitary confinement, fed bread and water, never see the sun for the rest of your life. And the day they deem, well, he's dying in about an hour, they can finally haul you into court to have a judge say, case dismissed, go home. And you die. That is not rule of law. And that is what Democrats want. They want to be able to arrest anyone at any time, at any place, for any reason, by any means, charge them with whatever they want, and then have them destroyed with or without evidence. And this case is throwing all of that into the daylight. This judge has admitted that his philosophy is that you're in my courtroom. I rule supreme here. There is plenty of precedent for people charged with heinous crimes going free because prosecutors drop charges. And on the other side of that coin, there is a lot of evidence throughout just the past 40 years of people being sent to jail for crimes they didn't commit because of crooked prosecutors. Right now, Bill Barr is unwilling to prosecute a man for something he knows he's innocent of. And he has said, there is no case, we're dropping the charges. And this judge has basically said, you can't do that because I deem this person will go to jail. And that is wrong in every sense of the word. As I said, it was a definite part of why 400 odd years ago people left the British Empire for a new world, hoping they would just be ignored. And it's why just 150 years or so later, they fought a bloody revolution to officially sever ties with the tyrant government. And just 244 years later, the tyrants have clawed their way back to power. They've entrenched themselves so deep in their power that they no longer care that we see them for the tyrants they are. I don't know what else I can say. Let me know what you think in the comments. I would say let your representatives and senators know that this is a travesty of justice. If this was a liberal who no one could prove a thing about, the judge would have let them change their plea. The judge would have probably ruled, oh, you said not guilty? Well, we'll hear opening arguments. Oh, well, no, never mind. There's no case here. Case dismissed. Or he would have cheered the prosecutor dropping charges against a liberal. But because it's Mike Flynn, he's acting as a tyrant. But again, let me know what you think. As always, be civil in the comments. Yes, I get passionate. I know people do, but we can be civil. If any of the idiots I've called out as idiots show up, you know the drill. I'll be very blunt and direct, but I won't be vulgar. The rest of us can act like adults because, unlike them, we are adults. As always, please remember to like and share the video. Share it on Twitter and tag your representatives. Let them join in the conversation. That way we expand the conversation. I know that may bring people here who are going to scream and yell that Flynn pled guilty, so he should just be sent to jail. I will happily point out I have watched people plead guilty and be acquitted. And they had a lot of evidence, as opposed to this. As always, also, please remember to subscribe and turn on notifications. That way you're part of the channel for the giveaway at 500, 1,000, and 1,500 subscribers, and so that you know of all new content as it posts. Until next time, everyone have a wonderful day.